Good morning, students. So today we are going to see the last chapter of the third module, that is security at the transport layer. So security at the transport layer is nothing but here we are going to study about the secure socket layer, which is called as SSL protocol. What exactly it contains, what are the main services it provides, and how it is going to be implemented. So this is developed by Netscape in 1994, and the name of the protocol is a secure socket layer. Short form is a SSL protocol, which has emerged as the principal means of securing communication between the internet client and a server. So basically, this secure socket layer protocol is used to have a secure communication between the client and a server. It was standardized by IETF in 1999, and it is also called as transport layer security. So this SSL or TSL are both interchangeably used. Secure socket layer is sandwiched between TCP, which runs only over the transport connection protocol, and an application layer protocol. You might have studied in a computer networks, that is 7 layers of computer network. So here the first layer we call it as a application layer. Below of that is a presentation layer, and so application layer and a transport layer where the client sends a message to the server. So in between that, this SSL is situated. So it is application protocol independent. So the protocols which are used for in the application layer protocol is HTTP, that is hypertext transfer protocol, FTP file transfer protocol, SMTP, that is simple mail transfer protocol, IMAP, and POP, that is post office protocol. These all protocols which are used in the application layer protocol can be run over the SSL. So only difference is that application protocol which is secured by SSL are usually suffixed by an S and run on different port numbers. For example, HTTP runs on a port number 80, but HTTPS runs on a port 443. Likewise, file transfer protocol runs on port 21, but FTPS runs on port 990. So SSL is comprised of main two protocols. One we call it as a SSL handshake protocol, another is called as a SSL record layer protocol. So here is the SSL on the protocol stack. We have an application layer where we are going to use the HTTP, FTP like protocols. Then below of that one is a SSL handshake protocol, then SSL record layer protocol, and then we have it's a TCP, that is transport layer protocol. So in between transport layer protocol and application layer protocol, this SSL is situated. So let us see in brief what exactly the handshake protocol does and what is this SSL record layer protocol does. SSL handshake protocol is used to negotiate the set of algorithms to be used for securing the communication link. Apart from this, server authentication is also mandatory and performed as part of the handshake. The handshake protocol is also responsible for deriving keys for encryption and MAC computation. So in brief, in handshake protocol, we are going to choose the set of algorithms to be used for having a secure communication. Then we are going to authenticate the server, and then deriving keys for encryption and MAC computation. Then the actual job of providing message authentication, integrity checking, and encryption is performed by SSL record layer protocol, which sits just below the handshake protocol and protects each message exchanged by the two communicating parties. Then this record layer protocol also detects replayed, reordered, and duplicate packets. So in brief, these are the main functionalities of the handshake as well as record layer protocol. So in detail now we are going to see the SSL handshake protocol. So the steps in the handshake are: first, the client initiates a handshake with the server to either start a new connection or resume an existing session or establish a new connection within an existing session. So the main steps in SSL handshake of establishing a new session are as follows. First one, agreement on a common cipher suite to be used in the new session, a receipt and validation of a server certificate by the client, communication of a pre-master secret and computation of a derived secrets, integrity verification of handshake messages and server authentication. So these are the main 4 steps we follow in SSL handshake for establishing a new session. So these steps are realized by the sequence of messages which are shown in the following figure. Now, if you see, there are different types of messages which will be exchanged between the client and a server. So first one is a client hello, then the server sends server hello message, then server sends a certificate, then the client prepares the 3 messages called as client key exchange, change cipher specification, finished. Then server sends change cipher specification and finished. So what all these messages includes the information we'll see in detail in every step. The first step is 2 messages are communicated in this step, that is client hello and the server hello. So this client hello and the server hello messages are going to decide the following things. First one, whether we should start or establish a new session or we should use an existing one. So if the new session is going to be established, then the session ID field in the client hello message is a 0. Else, suppose if already existing session is to be used, then the session ID field is set to the ID of the session to be reused. Then in the server hello message, the session ID field is the ID of the new session to be established or ID of an existing session. Then which are the algorithms to be used in computing the MAC for the message integrity. Then whether or not message confidentiality is required. If message confidentiality is required, then which encryption algorithm to be used and what will be the key length. And finally, the key exchange method used for communicating the pre-master key. So these all decisions are to be taken in the first step. So along with these 4 decisions, which we call it as a cipher suite, both sides choose and exchange 2 32-byte nonces RA and RB. So this is what the first step. In the second step, the server communicates its certificate to the client. So on the receipt of the certificate, the client checks the owner's name or a URL and the validity period. It also verifies the signature of the certification authority on the certificate. Successful verification of these fields does not guarantee the authenticity of the sender. Authentication of the server only occurs at the end of the 4th step. So this is what in the second step, that is server certificate is authenticated. Third step, client chooses a pre-master secret, which is a 48-byte random number. The pre-master secret is encrypted with the server's public key, which is available in a certificate sent in the step 2 and sent to the server in the client key exchange message. So thereafter, both client and a server computes the master secret. So this is a HMAC, that is hash message authentication code style function. Which takes a parameter, that is pre-master secret, the 2 nonces which have exchanged in a first step, that is RA and RB, and some predefined constants. So by using this function, 6 secrets are derived using HMAC style function of the master secret. So these 6 derived secrets are initialization vector for encrypting message from client to server, initialization vector for encrypting messages from server to client, secret key for encrypting messages from client to server, secret key for encrypting messages from server to client, secret for computing keyed hash on messages from client to server, secret for computing keyed hash on messages from server to client. So these are the 6 derived secrets calculated in the step 3. So last step involves the exchange of 2 messages in each direction. The first of these is a change cipher specification message. The party that sends this message signals that from now on the cipher suit just negotiated and the keys just computed will be used. The second message in this step is the finished message from client to server. This message includes a keyed hash on the concatenation of all the handshake messages sent in the preceding steps and a predefined constant. The keyed hash serves as an integrity check on the previous handshake messages. So after the server receives this change cipher specification and finished message from the client, it verifies the computation of a keyed hash. It then computes its own keyed hash that covers the previous handshake messages plus a predefined constant, which is distinct from the one used by the client. The client receives the keyed hash and verifies it. Only at this point, the server is authenticated in the client. So these are the 4 steps in the handshake protocol. So there are some key design ideas. Basically, we are going to use 3 key exchange methods: server authentication, sessions, and connections. So we'll see these 3 design ideas in detail. So first one is a key exchange method. In the step 2, the server dispatches a certificate so that the client can use the public key which is contained in that certificate to encrypt the pre-master secret. But there are some servers certificate available which may be a signature only certificate. Means the public key in the certificate and the corresponding private key may only be used exclusively for signature generation or verification, not for encryption. So in that case, if the server's certificate is signature generation or verification certificate, then the secure socket layer permits the server to create a temporary public key private key pair, and that public key which is signed by the server using the private key corresponding to the public key in the signature only certificate, that will be sent along with the certificate to the client. Then the client verifies the signature on the public key and then uses it to encrypt the pre-master secret. Then SSL offers a rich set of options for a key exchange. RSA based key exchange method is there. Diffie-Hellman key exchange is also there. So this SSL will make use of Diffie-Hellman key exchange algorithm, which already we have studied in second module. Second one is a server authentication. The MAC computed by both the parties and sent in step 4 is used as an integrity check on the previous handshake messages. So let me remind you, integrity check is nothing but when the client and the server exchanges a message and suppose the attacker impersonates those messages and alters those messages, then the client and a server should know this information that the message has been modified. For that, this integrity check concept is used, and to check that integrity, the MAC is computed, which stands for message authentication code. All the handshake messages which are sent in the clear format except for encryption of a pre-master key. So all the handshake messages are sent in a clear format. So there is a possibility for an attacker to alter one or more of the handshake messages. For example, he may replace the 128-bit data encryption standard by a 56-bit DES. So the MAC detects any modification in the handshake messages. The hash computed by the server and verified by the client uses the server MAC secret. It is a function of the master secret, which in turn is a function of a pre-master secret. So recall that the pre-master secret is chosen by the client and encrypted with the server's public key so that the server alone can read it. So nobody but the server and the client could compute the 6 secrets, which we have done in step 3. Only after the client receives and verifies the keyed hash from the server is it convinced that it is talking to the authenticate server. Then last one is a session and a connection. It is a good security practice to change keys during a long-lasting session. SSL has a provision for changing keys by creating new connections within an existing session. In creating a new connection, the pre-master secret, which is part of the existing session state, is not chosen anew. So already, instead, a new master secret is computed as a function of an existing pre-master secret and 2 fresh nonces contributed by the client and a server. So already in a step 1, 2 nonces RA and RB has been chosen by the client and a server, and those are exchanged, and the pre-master secret key is also chosen. So as by using these already existing data, the new master secret is computed. The session state includes the pre-master secret, the negotiated cipher suit, and of course the session ID. The state of a connection includes the 2 nonces, the master secret, the 6 derived secrets, and the 2 message sequence, one for each direction of message transfer. So the second protocol of SSL is a SSL record layer protocol. So this SSL record layer protocol is used to securely transmit data using the negotiated cipher suit and the keys derived during the SSL handshake. Its main tasks are computation of a per message MAC and encryption. If the data to be transmitted is very large, then it performs a fragmentation, and each fragment is of 16 kilobits or less. Now, if you see here, if the data to be transmitted is a large, then first the data is going to be fragmented, and each fragment is of 16 kilobit or less. When a connection is established, both sides initialize a sequence counter which are set to 0. The counter is incremented for each packet sent. The sequence number itself is not sent. However, it is used in the computation of a MAC and in its verification. The MAC is computed on the concatenation of 64-bit sequence number and the compressed fragment. The next step after computing the MAC is to encrypt the data. If the combined size of the data fragment and MAC is not a multiple of a block size, then a padding is appended. The data fragment, MAC, and a pad are then encrypted, prepended with a header, and passed on to the TCP layer for further processing. So this SSL record layer protocol header contains a 1-byte content type field which identifies higher layer protocol used to process the fragment, the 2 bytes which are used to specify the version number. Finally, the length field indicates the fragment size in bytes. So this is what the functions of SSL record layer protocol. So last one in this is OpenSSL. OpenSSL is an open source software that implements the SSL or TLS protocol. It is comprised of a number of libraries that implement various cryptographic algorithms. It provides extensive support for communicating and validating digital certificates. SSL is based on SSLeA library developed by Eric Young and Tim Hudson. OpenSSL enhances the productivity of application developers by providing a rich set of APIs that handle diverse aspects of SSL-enabled communication, from connection setup and tear down to certificate storage management and verification. The developers can rely on the OpenSSL APIs to implement the required security. So this is what